Hello, I'm Daniela Elana. This is episode 46 of Historical Paranormal. In this week's episode, we'll explore the origin and the myth of the Bogeyman. One of the first references to the legendary creature was found in the 1500s, though it's suspected that the Bogeyman has existed much longer than this. It is thought that the Bogeymen were originally a reference for mischievous creatures called hobgoblins. Throughout much of Europe, hobgoblins are actually quite friendly or limited to lighthearted pranks, but there are tales of hobgoblins who were much more vile in nature. These creatures were said to torment humans, sometimes to the point of frightening a person to death. Regardless of how the Bogeyman came to be, he exists as one of the most well-known and feared creatures of all time. There are hundreds of names for the Bogeyman around the world, each with their own interesting twist. Because the Bogeyman has such a large global impact, it is difficult to determine which country told the first tales of this monster. One thing is for certain, the Bogeyman loves to lurk in the shadows of the night, and its main victims are disobedient children who don't listen to their parents. The Bogeyman is there to ensure that we follow the rules, explain Scientific American. It's shapeless, so it can be anywhere at any time, whether that means lurking under the bed or in the closet or behind a tree in the forest. What's both fascinating and terrifying about the Bogeyman is that there's no defined agreed upon appearance. While everyone knows the term, no one has a clear idea of what it looks like, which sets it apart from the mythical monsters who are generally defined by physical traits. This means that the Bogeyman, while typically thought of as masculine, could take on any or no gender. Many Bogeymen are said to have long nails or claws they use to scratch against window panes in the middle of the night. There are also tales of Bogeymen who have terrifying eyes that haunt children who venture outside after dark. Some Bogeymen are said to have horns or look very animal-like, while others are told to be evil humanoids or witches. In the United Kingdom, it is thought that the Bogeyman could have originally been a description of a bogeyman-like creature. The Bogeymen were responsible for picking up the dead, especially when the Black Plague was devastating Europe. Because of their contact with the dead, they were often very sick themselves and had skeleton-like figures with sunken eyes. The Bogeyman is thought to live in homes of either yourself or a friend. It could walk through the walls or hide in your closet. The Bogeyman is just a personification of terror. It can be anything the fear in your mind makes it out to be. While the Bogeyman is mainly terrorizing children, it apparently does this in many different ways depending on the culture. In America, the myth typically has the monster lurking under beds and closets. Everyone has fears, and when you're a kid and it's hard to make sense of them, the Bogeyman serves as a personified version of them, one that you can hide from and potentially escape, which is perhaps why this creepy myth has stood the test of time. So that's that for the origins of the Bogeyman, a very ambiguous monster, but has inspired much of the genre of horror and science fiction, as well as a way of social control for keeping children in line who misbehave. I hope that you enjoyed this week's episode of Historical Paranormal, and stay tuned for the last 4 episodes of the season. Take care, and until next